How you doing, Roger?
Excellent.
Good to hear it, buddy. Hey, man, just want to say that you're a real inspiration, man. I know you're going through a lot of crap, and you're standing strong, and I think I speak for all red-blooded Americans that you're a sure inspiration.
Well, that's very kind. I want to be honest with you. In December, I had to cancel my life and health insurance because I literally could not make the premium payments. That's because every penny that I can scrape together has to go to pay my lawyers, because as you know, I am the subject of a witch hunt by Robert Mueller, a legal proctological examination in which virtually every friend, current and former, that I have has been dragged either in front of the FBI or in front of the grand jury. My cleaning lady has been interrogated. FBI agents were seen rooting through my garbage on the Alex Jones Show. And as you heard previously, we're going to be taking your calls. So that number, 877-789-2539, with the enormous turmoil in Washington, with the Democrats taking control of the House, with Donald Trump holding tough for border security and the wall, with new talk of impeachment, and with a freshman congresswoman calling the president an MFer, there's a lot of questions out there about what's going on, and we value the two-way dialogue that we've established here at InfoWars. I do want to mention that on New Year's Day, the 13th annual International Best and Worst Dressed list that I produce every year hit the pages of the Daily Caller. And I'm happy to say that that in turn was picked up by the New York Post, which in turn was picked up by the Drudge Report. So a hearty thanks to both the New York Post and Richard Johnson, and of course to Matt Drudge and the Drudge Report. But most importantly, on that very list is InfoWars' own Owen Schroyer. Let's bring that up if we may. Now, Owen Schroyer has now enjoyed his third year on the best dressed list. That means that he could be heading for the Lifetime Achievement Award, which is very coveted. Larry Kudlow, Shannon Sharp, Kimberly Guilfoyle, a small handful of those who are truly turned out. And everything we said about Owen Schroyer is true. He is amazingly well turned out for a young man of his age. Today, he's referred to as an associate of Roger Stone. Someday, I will be referred to as an associate of Owen Schroyer. So now let's go to the phones, if we may. Let's start with Brad in Pennsylvania. Brad, you're on InfoWars and the Alex Jones Show. What's on your mind?
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Roger. I just wanted to mention, you pointed out Mitt Romney, and my feeling is, with all the, I want to get your opinion on this, but with all the elections recently, it just seems like they're just giving us the results. There's no honest elections anymore. They're just telling. I think they would have said Beto would have beaten Cruz, except for that stuff that Infowars came up with down there in Texas. If you guys wouldn't have broken that story about him buying whatever he was doing down there, I think they would have said he would have beat Cruz. I think they just make up this stuff, and they're going to take Romney, just like you're pointing out. They're going to run him in the primaries, and probably like they used to do to Ron Paul, they're just going to say he beat Trump somehow, and we're supposed to believe it.
No, I think you raise an excellent point, and this is my number one concern. You see, in 2016, we actually had an honest election. That's because the two-party duopoly that runs the election system and the government was overconfident. They were so certain that they had the election wired to be a face-off between Jeb Bush and Hillary Clinton. Heads I win, tails you lose. There was no way for them to lose. Then in the general election, where they unwisely regarded Donald Trump as some kind of cartoon character, they never saw it coming. Therefore, they did not go to the lengths that they went to in the most recent midterm elections, which I think were racked with fraud and illegal voting. The president has 2 years and a Justice Department to do something about this. You're absolutely right. Donald Trump can win an honest election. In fact, I think he would wallop Mitt Romney in an honest election. In fact, polls that have been taken by the cabal, the Kasich, Flake, Corker, Romney, Stewart, Stevens cabal show that Donald Trump would wallop the Mormon from Utah in a head-to-head Republican primary. And that's why there are talks about running a third-party independent candidacy to try to split the Republican vote in an effort to elect a globalist Democrat. There's John Kasich, not looking too good. That's how you look when you stay up all night freebasing. This guy is one of the great hypocrites of all time, a guy who's a drug warrior and has so badly destroyed the legal process for medicinal marijuana in Ohio, which has been so badly mishandled that literally hundreds of thousands of Ohioans who are relying on cannabis as medicine, better than say opioids, are forced to wait because of a incompetent administration by John Kasich. Thank you very much for your call. Let's go to Joe in Colorado. Joe, what's on your mind?
How you doing, Roger?
Excellent.
Good to hear it, buddy. Hey, man, just want to say that you're a real inspiration, man. I know you're going through a lot of crap and you're standing strong, and I think I speak for all red-blooded Americans that you're a true inspiration.
Well, that's very kind. I want to be honest with you. In December, I had to cancel my life and health insurance because I literally could not make the premium payments. That's because every penny that I can scrape together has to go to pay my lawyers, because as you know, I am the subject of a witch hunt by Robert Mueller, a legal proctological examination in which virtually every friend, current and former, that I have has been dragged either in front of the FBI or in front of the grand jury. My cleaning lady has been interrogated. FBI agents were seen rooting through my garbage. And they, of course, work closely with the mainstream media. So the special counsel, which allegedly doesn't leak, leaks like a sieve, that causes negative stories. If I had $100 for every story that predicted that I would be indicted tomorrow, I'd be able to pay my legal expenses easily. But unfortunately, I'm unable to. Those who want to help can go to stonedefensefund.com, stonedefensefund.com. Yes, I am accepting contributions, and I will be grateful for them. Again, don't go to rogerstonedefensefund.com, because that will take you to a Planned Parenthood site. It's stonedefensefund.com. Many thanks for your questions and your warm wishes. Why don't we go to, let's see, Carl in Pennsylvania. Carl, what's on your mind?
How are you doing today, Roger?
Excellent, thank you.
Oh, excellent. Actually, not Pennsylvania, San Diego.
I apologize, I got that wrong. But Carl, go ahead.
No, not a problem, not a problem. First thing I wanted to just kind of briefly mention here is that I'm down here in San Diego, and I go back and forth across the border, you know, relatively often. And, you know, and one of my buddies has a house down there. So I show up, you know, and we're talking about the caravan, and, you know, a lot of the people who are down there, they're like, you know what? This whole thing is a mess. We don't want these people here. They're robbing, they're looting, you know, and there's just hordes of them running around. And the whole situation is just kind of a mess.
We've still got Carl from San Diego on the line, and we're going to go back to him in 1 second. But in the meantime, I want to tell you the phone number for those who want to get through on the hotline is 877-789-2539. I'm taking your calls today on any subject you want to talk about. We've got a good lineup. Theodore, Malcolm, John in Wyoming. We're going to try to get to as many of you as possible. Carl, let's pick up where we left off. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Anyways, so that was my quick little point about the border. Moving on to the next point that I wanted to make is I've been listening to you guys for about 10 years, and just being able to, you know, do my own research, like Alex always says, you know, don't believe me, do your own research. So I go out and, you know, one of the things that got me started in InfoWars was 9/11 and that whole scene and doing the research and all like that. But these days, when I get into an argument with somebody in politics, I just stop them with facts, and it's just really a good feeling. So, anyways, the third point I wanted to make was that everybody keeps saying impeach, impeach, impeach. These people couldn't impeach a ham sandwich. I mean, I know you can indict one all day long, but who's buying this narrative?
Well, I wish I agreed with you. First of all, I think the House Democrats are about to have a giant internal rumble between their corporatist wing, which controls Nancy Pelosi, and their socialist wing, which is growing in force and size. The point is, they don't need real evidence, real facts, real proof, real anything to vote articles of impeachment. Then it would go to the U.S. Senate for an actual trial. Impeachment, I think, is widely misunderstood by the American people. To be impeached is to be accused. It's an indictment. Bill Clinton was impeached, but he was not convicted. President Andrew Johnson, who succeeded Abraham Lincoln, was impeached, but he was not convicted and therefore removed. It requires a 2/3 vote in the U.S. Senate for a conviction. Therefore, we'll be counting on senators like Mitt Romney, for example, which is what gives me pause. If you saw the kind of hysteria that the mainstream media was able to whip up regarding Judge Kavanaugh based on absolutely nothing, you see the kind of hysteria they can whip up about Donald Trump and, let's say, campaign finance crimes that may not even exist, because the chairman of the Federal Election Commission doesn't even believe what Michael Cohen alleges that Donald Trump did is a crime. So do not underestimate the hysteria that the mainstream media is able to generate, and recognize the necessary backdrop for any move to remove the president is to crash this economy. Well, the chairman of the Federal Reserve is doing his very best to do that. Yet today's job numbers were really extraordinary. Unemployment at the lowest point in American history, a record number of jobs created in this quarter, African-American unemployment at the lowest point ever. This was not in the globalists' plan. Do not take impeachment lightly. They are going to try it, mark my words. Thank you for your call. Let's go to Theodore in my home state of Florida, the Sunshine State. Theodore, what's on your mind?
You there, Roger?
Yes, Theodore, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here, Roger.
All right, shoot.
Hey, Roger. I actually wrote a song for you. I was supposed to meet you December 18th in here in Clearwater, but you weren't feeling well. And so anyways, I wrote a song for you. It's called The Stone Cold Truth. And it's on my website if you want to listen to it. The website address is HollywoodBlacklist.com, and black is spelled B-L-A-K, HollywoodBlacklist.com, and it's on the first page. It's called The Stone Cold Truth, and I'm a constitutional conservative goth metal artist, and so basically I've been writing songs lately about these deep state and far leftist nut jobs, and I feel like that I'm not the only person that's like this, and quite frankly, I'm sick and tired of Alex Jones and you, Roger Stone, and other constitutional conservatives being persecuted for no reason. And so, I wrote the song for you, and I think you'll like it.
Well, I am very honored, and I am going to reschedule that appearance in Clearwater. You're right, I did have a bout of the flu, and I very much was disappointed. It's the first time that I've canceled a public event in many, many years. I spoke last night to the Indian River Republican Club just north of Jupiter. We had a terrific turnout, and I want to thank everybody there for their warm hospitality. Strong, strong support for the president. I'm still getting over a touch of laryngitis, as I think most of you could hear, but I was not going to cancel again. I am honored by your song. I'm going to download it and listen to it immediately after the show, and I will be in touch with you to tell you what I think. but I'm highly confident that I'm going to like it. Many thanks. Let's go to Malcolm in New Mexico.
Roger, it's a great honor to talk to you.
Thank you. What's on your mind?
Just primarily compliments for right now. First off, I got your book, Stone's Rules. I recommend it to everyone. I particularly like your 2 rules, which is never be afraid of anyone or anything, and miracles do happen. I think the miracles happen should come after, though, the never be afraid of anyone or anything. I did do your Dick Nixon martini, and I liked it very much. My only difference is I put cashews in the pimentos of the olives. It still came out very wonderful. And finally, I'm a registered nurse here in Santa Fe. I work at one of the most intense Catholic charity hospitals in the United States. I could not survive working there if it were not for the products from InfoWars. I don't know how I survived. I had to work Christmas and New Year's. I had to charge one floor one of the days. It was an absolute, we had a winter storm. It was absolute hell here. I would not have, and I will say this, I will not have survived working that if it were not for InfoWars products, and I mean that.
Well, I know exactly what you mean, because without Brain Force Plus, this very broadcast would literally be impossible. So let me say a couple things. First of all, never be afraid of anybody or anything is a rule that I lifted from the chairman of the board himself, none other than Frank Sinatra, and it is a rule to live by. Miracles do happen. That happened in November of 2016, when this country was veering off into a ditch. We were heading to a globalist America, and an improbable billionaire from New York, who no one thought could win, stepped forward and decided to save his country. Donald Trump did not run for president to be somebody. He already was somebody. He ran for president to do something, and he is doing it. And now the globalists are in overdrive in their efforts to destroy him and remove him. Thank you so much for your call, and I'm glad you enjoyed Dick Nixon's Silver Bullet. It is, as you know, a martini recipe handed down to our 37th president by none other than Winston Churchill himself. You can get your copy of Stone's Rules by going to the Infowars.com store now. And in the next segment, we'll show you a special address where you can buy your copy, mail it to me. I will personalize it and sign it and mail it back to you at my own expense, but only if you buy it at the Infowars.com store. I'm Roger Stone. This is the Alex Jones Show. This is the most talked about, the most censored, the most vilified, and most honest show you'll find on the internet or on radio. We bring you the stone cold truth every week, and it is driving the globalists and the liberals and the communists crazy. I'll be right back to drive them even crazier. We're going to go back to the phone lines. You're here at InfoWars. It's the Alex Jones Show, and we're standing up to the satanic pedophile army, and we need your help to do it. So please, remember to go to the Infowars.com site now to go to the store and buy one of our terrific products. We are completely listener and viewer supported. There are no wealthy conservative fat cats standing in the wings writing giant checks to subsidize what we do here at InfoWars. We rely completely and totally on you for us to continue to thrive, to continue to push forward, to continue to broadcast the truth. And we need your support to do it. Whether it is one of our great cutting-edge nutraceuticals, or whether it's a book or a T-shirt, or whether you want to just go to the donate button to send $25 or $50 or $100, please know that your loyal patronage is what keeps us not only afloat, but moving forward. Let's go back to the phones. How about John in Wyoming? John, welcome to the Alex Jones Show. What's on your mind?
Roger, it's great to talk to you again, sir. I want to refer back to Barry Goldwater's wonderful 1979 book, With No Apologies, not to be confused with that plagiarized title of No Apologies that Mitt Romney came out with a few years ago. This is With No Apologies by Barry Goldwater, Senator Barry Goldwater from 1979. And on the first page of chapter 21, this is page 182, Goldwater named the 4 CFR. He didn't mention that they were CFR, but in fact they were. The 4 CFR Republicans who sold him out in the 1964 presidential campaign. They included Nelson Rockefeller of New York, William Scranton of Pennsylvania, Henry Cabot Lodge, and none other than George Romney of Michigan, Mitt Romney's father. He was a Judas who sold out Barry Goldwater's 64 presidential campaign, and now 55 years later, his son, also a Judas, Mitt Romney, is trying to sell out President Trump's administration. Now, Mitt Romney, during the Vietnam War, did he serve? No. Did have his 5 sons served in any branch of the armed forces? No. You see, Mitt Romney went to Paris and stayed in Paris during the Vietnam War as a Mormon missionary. Never mind that France has been a Catholic country for some 2,000 years. He thought that they needed his Mormon spiritual advice. So he got out of all military service, even non-combatant military service, during the Vietnam War by acting as a Mormon missionary going to France to supposedly civilize the masses. Now, this is the same Mitt Romney who told it during the 2012 presidential campaign, who told a middle-aged couple from New Hampshire that his 5 sons, Romney's 5 sons, working on his presidential campaign, were just as patriotic as their son serving in Afghanistan. Had I been there, I would have spit in his face. He is that much of a sleaze. And now, as soon as he gets elected, even before he was sworn in the other day, he was trashing President Trump and bad-mouthing President Trump despite receiving an endorsement for his campaign, which helped him get elected. So Mitt Romney is nothing but a liar and a sleaze and a coward. And as a matter of fact, when he was speaking during the campaign in 2012, that when he would insult a couple whose son was risking his life in Afghanistan and tell them that his 5 sons serving on his presidential campaign were just as patriotic as their son serving in Afghanistan, that man should not have been elected to anything. The only time that I would ever vote for Mitt Romney is if he ran for ambassador to Somalia. And I guarantee you I would vote for him gladly in that position.
So I get your drift. You know, it's very interesting. People don't realize that George Romney, much like his son, was not a Republican right up until the time that he switched to become a Republican and run for governor of Michigan. He refused to go to the Republican state headquarters. He refused to have Romney material available in the state headquarters. And as you correctly point out, he knifed Barry Goldwater in the back. Similarly, Mitt Romney was not a Republican until he decided to run for the U.S. Senate against Senator Ted Kennedy. And here's the great point. He ran to Ted Kennedy's left. Mitt Romney supported gay marriage, for example, prior to Ted Kennedy, who was long an opponent of it in an overwhelmingly Catholic state. Mitt Romney is not a conservative. Mitt Romney is not a Republican. Mitt Romney is a corporate capitalist who keeps changing the color and style of his hair, but believes in absolutely nothing. And what really drives him crazy is Donald Trump carried Michigan, but Mitt Romney didn't. Donald Trump carried Wisconsin, but Mitt Romney didn't. Donald Trump carried Pennsylvania, but Mitt Romney didn't. Donald Trump carried Ohio, but Mitt Romney didn't. Donald Trump carried Florida, but Mitt Romney didn't. So Mitt and Stuart Stevens, try it, give it a shot, come back one more time. You will get decimated yet again. The reason I knew that this was a setup was obvious. Mitt Romney's been an executive in everything he's ever done. Why would he want to go to the U.S. Senate to be a junior member of a body of 100 where his influence is absolutely zero? And why does he want to represent a state that he doesn't even live in, Utah? Because Mitt Romney lives in Massachusetts. He's a fraud. He's an obvious fraud. And his treachery was so predictable. So I'd like to know who in the Trump White House urged Donald Trump to endorse him in the primary? Because I saw the polling. Mitt Romney could have been defeated by one simple move. Here it is. Mitt, you want to be our U.S. Senator? Pledge right now that you'll fill out the entire 6-year term and you will not run for president. Go ahead, say it. And he wouldn't have. But unfortunately, and I don't know whether this was Jared Kushner or the White House political operation, suggested that the president might make peace with Romney by endorsing him for the Senate. He is indeed Judas Iscariot. What do you expect from a pig but a grunt? Thank you so much for your call. Let's go to Michael in Canada. Michael, you with us? We got about 3 minutes here.
Yes, I'm here, Roger. Good to talk to you again. That was a very good insight on Mittens Romney. He's just nothing but a sellout. But I'd like to talk to you briefly about the previous topic I spoke with you, and it's the only way I see the special counsel being ended. And that would involve President Trump making an executive secret decision to send some heavy-hitting operators under the cover of night to go to the Ecuadorian embassy in London and extract Julian Assange. Once he is in front of the special counsel and he tells in secret who the emails came from the DNC, I think it's over. I think he is the keymaker to everything.
Well, it's an intriguing idea. Look, I am on record as saying that I think Julian Assange is a heroic journalist. I think that he does the same thing that New York Times and the Washington Post do. He gets a hold of classified information or information that's embarrassing to the government. He verifies its authenticity and he publishes it. His problem is that he has embarrassed the deep state time and time again. In the 11 years that WikiLeaks has been in operation, nothing Julian Assange has ever published has been questioned in terms of its accuracy or its authenticity. Can the New York Times or the Washington Post say that? No. Now we are being told over and over again that he is an asset for the Russians. That is unproven at best. I'm being sued by the Democratic National Committee. It's one of the things that is bankrupting me and my family. And I am the only plaintiff in the lawsuit who has told the DNC to preserve the servers in discovery so that my technical experts can examine them and we can determine whether the DNC was ever hacked at all. Your idea is an intriguing one. The problem with it is, of course, it would violate Julian Assange's journalistic ethics. Journalists do not reveal their sources. When he posted a reward for Seth Rich, when he said people who are our sources take their lives into their hands, I don't think he could have made it any clearer who his source was without blurting out the name. Thank you very much for your insightful call. I'm Roger Stone. You've joined us on the Alex Jones Show. One more time, please go to the Infowars.com store. And if you still have questions, join me on the War Room coming up next.